Starting my day off with coffee like usual. I am doing kind of a lower amount of my dairy-free creamer just to keep it a little bit lower in fat than normal. Good morning. Welcome back to another What I Eat in a Day video. This one's going to be a little bit different because I've started a new experiment. You guys know that watch me know that I love to experiment with different things like recipes and also with my diet. So I went over all of the details of my new experiment on my last Wellness Wednesday. So if you haven't seen that and you want more details about exactly what it is that I'm doing, I will put that video up in the cards. Definitely check that out for all the info. Just in a real quick nutshell, what it turns out to be is I eat 2 meals a day that are low fat, like a PSMF type meal or a lean day meal like I used to do. And then 1 meal a day where I eat a little bit higher fat that's more like a regular Ketovore meal. All of my meals are higher protein. I just kind of switch up the fat. And I used to do lean days every once in a while. I did different schedules of adding in lean days to my diet, and that worked really well, but I just wanted to mix it up a little bit and try something different. So instead of doing an entire day of low fat, I'm doing 2 meals of low fat and then the 1 meal of higher fat in the day. And I have the flexibility of putting that higher fat meal anywhere I want it to in the day. I haven't done it as a breakfast meal yet, but that might be an interesting thing to try. But I can do it at lunch or I can do it at dinner depending on what my schedule is for the day and what works out the best. I expect that today it'll be the dinner meal, but I'm still considering. I like flexibility and I'll just kind of play it by ear and decide what I want to do later on. A few of our daffodils are starting to bloom, so I grabbed a few to take inside. And let's see, Maple came to say hi. Maple, what's you doing? Good morning, Maple. Oh, good morning to you too. Belly rubs are her love language. Belly rubs are her love language. Oh, that's for sure. That's for sure. I'm going to go ahead and throw together my breakfast, which is going to be some protein crepes. I'm going to use fresh eggs. These are our home-laid eggs. So fun. We're finally getting to where we're getting overrun with eggs now. Before it was like a special treat to have eggs from our own chickens. But they have all really started laying really well. So we're getting like 8 to 11 per day usually. So we're very happy about that. So I'm going to whip those up real quick. And while I have the gelatin out, I'm going to throw together some Jello pudding type things with electrolytes for the flavoring. I'm going to use the base recipe from Anita from Ketogenic Woman. She did a video a week or so ago of lime puddings, and she did some with True Lime mix, like the True Lime packets, and then some with lime keto chow. And so I'm going to use her ratios of like the egg white powder and the liquid and the gelatin, but then for my flavorings and my sweetener, I'm going to use the Perfect Keto electrolytes. I'm going to try a black cherry and a watermelon. I haven't made a pudding exactly like this before. I've done Jello with just electrolytes for the flavor and the sweetener, but I've never added in the egg white powder. So I thought that would be a fun, lean, low-fat, high-protein snack or, part of a meal for today. For the Jello pudding, the first thing I'm going to do is bloom my 2 tablespoons of gelatin in 1 cup of water. I'm going to be adding more water, but I'm going to add hot water after this. And so I'm going to just do the cold water to bloom the gelatin first. And 2 tablespoons of gelatin is 20 grams, so that's what I'm going for here. That's all absorbed. Now I'm going to add in some egg white powder. I'm going to do 1/4 of a cup, which is 20 grams. And I think I'm going to go ahead and add in the electrolytes and try to blend that, because I'm going to add hot water, and adding the hot water straight to egg white powder, you know, cooks it real fast. So I think I'm going to try to get it all blended up first and then see how that goes. We'll see. I'm not sure. This is all an experiment. If you want a good recipe, go check out Anita over at Ketogenic Woman, because she did a great job. When I've done electrolyte jello before, I just doubled up on the amount of mix. So since this is 2 cups, 16 ounces, I'm going to do 2 scoops of the electrolyte mix. I'm going to try the watermelon. I'm not sure how this is going to turn out, but it looks pretty. It looks like strawberry milk or something, but of course it tastes like watermelon, smells like watermelon. It's pretty foamy on the top. I would prefer it to be more just puddingy or jello-y all the way through, but we'll see how it turns out. Spread some of the foam around here. Gonna pop these in the fridge for a few hours, and then we'll do a taste test. Gonna go ahead and eat my breakfast, and I'm gonna use some of my maple syrup, RX sugar, and I need to order some more because I am on my last little bit. I'll just use it all up. We are just about to head out the door to take Talia to an event and to run some errands. So I mixed up my electrolyte drink for the trip, and I did my current favorite flavor combo, which is 1 scoop of the Black Cherry Perfect Keto and 1 scoop of the Relight Lemon Lime. It's time for lunch, and I'm going to do a lean lunch today, and this is just 6 ounces of chicken thigh meat cut up. I took off the skin, I cut off all the chunks of fat, and when you do that, the actual meat doesn't turn out to be a whole lot higher in fat than chicken breast, so it's still pretty lean meat. I just sauteed it up in a pan with some Redmond seasoned salt, and then on the side here, I'm going to have some of the creamy Jello. We'll call it creamy Jello. You can see it's got like this layer of fluff on the top, and then it's got the Jello underneath. And it, of course, doesn't have any fat in it, so it's not really creamy. It's just from the egg white protein powder that made it a little bit creamy. Let me taste it here. This is the watermelon one. I made 1 watermelon recipe and 1 cherry. It's very light. Of course, I already know that I love the flavors of the electrolytes. It's not super sweet, so if you want something extra sweet, you could add some sweetener or add more of the electrolyte mix if you'd like. But for me, I think it's really good. It's lightly sweet and, you know, yummy like Jello. So the serving of Jello I already had was the watermelon, and it was one of the double servings. I did 2 little and then 1 double of each flavor. But I wanted to try the cherry one as well, and I wanted to show you how this one's separated. The only difference I did with this one is instead of having the immersion blender run while I poured in the hot water, I just whisked in the hot water with a whisk. And it obviously didn't incorporate as well. So that's one tip. If you're going to make it, do the immersion blender the whole time. So I'm totally indulging with another serving of the Jello, but each one of these mini servings is about 35 calories. That sure does look pretty, doesn't it? My goodness. Didn't expect something so fancy. I'm getting ready to cook dinner, and I just cubed up a tri-tip roast that I had, and I'm going to cook that up with some taco seasoning, and we're going to do some tacos for dinner. I pulled out these spices to use for the taco seasoning: some chili powder, some Redmond seasoned salt, garlic, onion, and some Creole seasoning. And we had some avocados that are like perfectly ripe, ready to use. So I'm gonna definitely chop those up for the tacos. And then I also thought it'd be good, more like maybe fajitas actually, slice up the peppers and the onions and then fry those after I cook the meat. I got my meat all cooked there, and now I'm just gonna throw in the peppers and onions and just let those saute for just a minute. I don't want them to get soggy. I just want them to get cooked a little bit but still have a crunch. And since there's still seasoning in the pan from the steak, I'm not adding any seasoning to these. They'll be good just the way they are. And I just barely cooked my meat because it's steak, and with steak or with beef, you either want to just barely cook it so it's still tender, kind of like you would, not want to eat a well-done steak, or at least I wouldn't. Or you want to just cook it so long that it goes past the tough point, and then it starts to break down again, and then it gets tender like shredded beef. There's like a U-shaped curve with beef, and you either want to have it cooked just a little bit till it's just barely done, or cooked a whole bunch until it's fall apart tender. Here are the fixings. I had a bunch of egg white wraps left over. So these are the ones that are made with the egg white powder. They turn out a little bit more like a flour tortilla rather than a pancake crepe. So they're perfect for burritos, tacos, fajitas. I just had one plain one left. My last one was my ugly one. And then this is everything but the bagel one. I thought that would be good with this. So I am going to put this together. I got some avocado, some olives, and this is sriracha mayo that I threw together. Since I'm not doing dairy, I would normally do like a sour cream or melted cheese. And since I can't have that, I just made a sriracha mayo to give that little bit of creaminess. All right, there is my dinner. This is massive. We'll see how much of this I make it through, but it looks super good. I am hungry. Here's how my calories and macros broke down for the day. I got a total of 1,373 calories for the whole day, and that actually seems really low to me. I was expecting it to be up closer to like 1,500 or 1,600 for a day like this. So I'm going to be keeping an eye on that. And if I tend to have my calories that low every day, I'm not really comfortable with that. So I may do like a regular day every once in a while, just so I'm not perpetually in that low of a calorie state. But I do eat to hunger, so I just kind of put things in that I eat and see where it ends up and just keep an eye on it that way. I don't control my calories based on, what I'm tracking for the day. But if I do see that it tends to be on the lower side consistently, I will make some tweaks and choose different foods, or maybe up my fat just a little bit on the leaner day, or not leaner days, the leaner meals of the day, and see where we get to. So I got 172.2 grams of protein, and that is 52.3% of my calories. Total fat for the day was 61.9 grams, and that was 42.3% of my calories. And then I got 17.9 total carbs, 12.2 net carbs, and that was 5.4% of my calories for the day. And if you're curious how my macros and calories broke down for the different meals, I will put a graphic up here on the screen for you to see. It has it all broken down so you can see how many calories for each meal and then how the macros are different. You can see that there is a lot more blue protein on the breakfast and the lunch, and then the dinner meal has more yellow for the fat content. I do kind of have my coffees in between my meals. So I'll have one first thing in the morning, and then a little while later I'll have breakfast, and then have one mid-morning usually, and then one maybe in the afternoon, or like today I had a decaf in the evening. So what I did was I just added the calories from the creamer to the meal that it was closest to. So my first coffee of the morning is included in my breakfast calories and so forth. Thanks for hanging out with me on this What I Eat in a Day video. I hope it was interesting. If you are curious about more details of the experiment that I'm doing, if you have questions about it, go watch the video here that I'll link at the end, and it has all of the info and all my thoughts and ideas about this experiment. I don't know how it's going to work out. That's why it's an experiment, but I'm curious to see, and so far so good. And that is it from me today. I hope you guys are doing great, and I will see you again in another video.